All right.
Hello, everyone. We're back. Welcome to Magic Stew. This is Draft Hotseat. I'm Kyle, joined, of course, by the illustrious
Liam Duffy.
And for those of you who are here for your first time, here's a little bit about how it works. Liam has selected a handful of uncommons. We do uncommons because there's a lot on commons and rares that's done, a lot of content. But Liam has selected a handful of uncommons. I am going to give them a rating from 1 through 5, 1 being the absolute worst, 5 being the absolute greatest. Basically, it's all based on their usefulness in draft, and I apologize for the audio pop. I'm sure just occurred with that clap. My bad. But anyway.
RIP headphone users.
RIP headphone users.
So these are completely random. I didn't curate these stacks. The first two I kind of sort of did.
Oh, okay.
Sort of.
Interesting.
Kind of, not
Our
really.
first one was pretty
I
contentious.
pulled
With some back and forth.
Yeah.
This one's completely
So
random.
this is completely random.
Well, I've never seen any of them, so it doesn't matter for me either way. I'm going to even shuffle this anyway. Haha, boys. I wish I could juggle. I could, flip the card over my head. And then...
So while you're doing that, what do you think of, I can't stop talking about this, what do you think of Patrick Stewart coming back to TV as Jean-Luc Picard?
I'll be honest, I've never been a huge Star Trek fan, but I will say I like Next Generation more than I like any of the other Star Trek brands, and I do love Patrick Stewart and just about everything that he's ever been in.
Yes.
So, I'm on board for more Patrick Stewart in whatever he's in. Hopefully this doesn't take away from the potential of Patrick Stewart in more movies and more TV shows. As long as it doesn't take away from that, just so I can get more Patrick Stewart doing more things, that'd be great. Have you seen Green Room? He's in Green Room as a Nazi.
I have not.
As a neo-Nazi cult leader. Just saying. It's pretty cool. If you've ever wanted to see Patrick Stewart as a villain, which is...
Was that like a boarding school type of... No, what was a boarding school one?
No.
Because wasn't he the villain in that one?
I don't know. Sadly, though, what's-his-face? Yuri Lowenthal, the actor that passed away who was in Star Trek, the movies with... he played Chekhov. In the Star Trek movies, he was crushed by his own car.
Right.
A couple years back, he was
I thought
actually.
His name was different.
I think it is Yuri Lowenthal, but I could be wrong. But he was actually in that movie with Patrick Stewart. Rest in peace, Yuri. You're a good actor. All right. Sorry. Moving on. Moving forward. My bad. Don't mean to be a downer here.
Yeah, that was all me.
No. We're good. Arcane Encyclopedia is our first card. It's 3 mana for an artifact that says for 3 mana and tap, draw a card. I love this card. I'll be honest. Mana Flood is a huge problem in this format. Huge. It is way worse than it was in Dominaria because there is not as many mana sinks. Because there's no kicker. There's not sagas that trigger every single turn to give you some time. There's not great mana sinks like Icy Manipulator, which is my absolute favorite, or the Thallid Graveyard, the Thallid Spore one that pulls stuff from the graveyard to make more tokens and sacks more tokens to draw you cards. There's not a lot of stuff like that, and Arcane Encyclopedia is one of the few cards that is. It's just a flat tap 3 mana, draw a card, and it's fitting because its casting cost is 3, its activation cost is 3, and its rating is a 3. Card's great. You're not going to want it in all your decks. It's not great when you're behind, but when you're at parity and when you're ahead, you'll love it.
Yeah.
And if your deck has, I've played several 18-land decks actually in this format, and Arcane Encyclopedia always seems to make my 22 because it's great. Just cycle through all your dead draws. Dawson, I love it. Our next card is going to be Reclamation Sage, which is actually 2. So it's 3 mana, 2 colorless, and 1 green for an Elf Shaman, a 2/1 Elf Shaman. It says when Reclamation Sage enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. This also gets a 3. I've said it on the last couple of these hot seats. Reclamation Sage is actually a welcome addition to almost any green deck because there's a lot of pretty solid artifacts and enchantment in this set. You can use it to destroy your opponent's equipment. You can use it to blow up their enchantment-based removal, like Luminous Bonds, for example, or Hieromancer's Cage, which is the 4-mana Oblivion Ring equivalent that's in this set, which is pretty good. You can use it to blow up any other troublesome auras that might be bugging you. You can use it to blow up artifact creatures, which is pretty spectacular as well, or like Chaos Wand, something like that, like a powerful rare artifact like Chaos Wand. So I think Reclamation Sage is great. I actually don't mind mainboarding it, because almost every deck that I played against in this format has at least 1 artifact or 1 enchantment lying around. And worst case scenario, you still have a creature. I think it's a 3. Again, it's definitely nothing to write home about, not a bomb by any stretch of the imagination, but it's solid, it's playable, and I like it. So we have 2 3-cost cards that are both 3s. See if we can keep this going. Our next one is a Blue Sorcery, and if Liam and I exchanged cups, it would be a Switcheroo, which is the name of the card. So it's 5 mana, 4 colorless, and a blue. for a sorcery. It says exchange control of 2 target creatures. I have a hard time evaluating a card like Switcheroo. I really liked cards like the 5 mana trade card from Kaladesh that was a similar effect. You swap an artifact or a creature for another artifact or a creature. I actually thought that was really good. Switcheroo is a little less good. I'm going to put it at a baseline of 3. So sometimes, but I actually think it's below power, below an Arcane Encyclopedia and Reclamation Sage. Sometimes you're not going to want Switcheroo at all. If you're playing like a blue-green deck with a ton of fatties, you're not going to want to swap one of your guys with Switcheroo. Switcheroo will be a dead draw in your deck. If you're playing a white-blue deck with you have a ton of 1/1 creature tokens, exchanging your 1/1 white token for like a 4/5
Or a Palaka Worm.
or a Palaka Worm you're living the dream. I'm going to rank it at a 3 simply because sometimes it's going to be a 2, maybe even a 1, depending on your deck and your matchup, and sometimes it's just going to feel like a 5. Sometimes you'll just swap this for your opponent's Nicol Bolas. That's a creature, and just get them. And again, so I'm going to stick it at a 3 because it's going to be up to you, I think, to evaluate the kind of deck that you're playing and the type of matchup that you're up against. If you're a blue-white deck with a ton of really cheap creatures that you don't really care about a whole lot, and you want to switcheroo them for big, impactful stuff, that's great. But if you're that blue-white deck and your opponent is also like a blue-white deck or a red-white deck with a ton of 1/1s running around, switcheroo is going to get sided out. If you're playing a deck with tons of big fat creatures, maybe you don't want to switch your switcheroo. Maybe you do want to switch your switcheroo for something else. Again, I'm going to put it at a 3 just because I think the power level is there in the right matchups and in the right decks. But again, you need to be careful when you're playing switcheroo, but evaluate that as it were. But a 3 I think is a safe place for it. Fiery Finish is our next card. It's 6 mana, so 4 colorless, 2 red for a sorcery that says Fiery Finish deals 7 damage to target creature. I give it a 2. I think it is below average in removal. It's sorcery speed, which sucks. It's really slow. I think it is 6 mana, 2 of which is 1 color, which sucks. Makes it hard to cast. And you can't direct the 7 damage at your opponent's face, which would actually have made this a 3 if you had the ability to choose. 7 damage is going to kill most things in this format. However, there is a chance that 7 damage won't kill some things in this format. There are some enchantments. There are some pump spells. You can give stuff indestructible. There are a handful of cards that do give stuff indestructible in this set. And 6 mana at sorcery speed, like if I'm gonna Fiery Finish your 5/5 and they go Titanic Growth in response, I've just wasted my whole turn and done nothing, and their 5/5 is still alive. It's not a very good card. You will play it if you are desperate for removal. But that's about it. It's not a 1 because it impacts the board the turn that it enters the battlefield. The turn that you cast it, in this case. Good card, not a good card. Again, you'll play it if you're desperate for removal, but realistically, it's unimpressive. Unimpressive at best. Despite its name. Despite Fiery Finish, it is anything but. It's a fizzling finish. Not a very good card. I've yet to see this card actually be played to any degree of success.
No.
But, it kills stuff, so it gets a 2. Our last card is the Heroic Reinforcements. So for 4 mana, it's a sorcery. 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 white. You make 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, and until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste. I'm not even going to lie to you guys, this card is a 4. This card is spectacular. It's amazing in the red-white go-wide deck. In any deck that makes a ton of creatures, it's great. Even in decks that don't make a ton of creatures, it's still great because you're still making 2 2/2s with haste for 4 mana. So that fits the vanilla test because you've made 4 power and 4 toughness worth of guys for 4 mana.
Yep.
Which is great. But then everything else on your board has gotten stronger, and on the off chance that you can actually cast something before you resolve this spell, it's going to get haste and be bigger anyway. So like on turn 6, you can play some random 2, like the Cavalry Master, the 2/1 for 2 mana that gives somebody +2/+0 in first strike. You can cast Cavalry Master, pump up a guy, and then play Heroic Reinforcements, and suddenly your Cavalry Master's a 3/2 with haste, attacking with 2 other guys that have 2 power and haste. Yes. Yes. This is my favorite of the multicolor ones. I love it. Does not take anything for this card to be good. This is the closest to a 5, I think, out of all of the Hotseat cards that we've done so far. in the uncommon range. I think Heroic Reinforcements is that good in its archetypes, and you're going to get blown out by this card sometimes. Please be careful. If your opponent, we're going to play a switcheroo of our own right now. If your opponent is playing red-white, and you're like, there's no way I can die here, and you attack in and leave no blockers back, they've got like 4 or 5 guys, you have no one but yourself to blame. Please be careful. Heroic Reinforcements is out there in the format. It's lurking. It's waiting to take your lunch money. It's good. It's real good. Real good. Gets a 4. That's pretty much it. That's going to bring us to an end of this hot seat. Hopefully you guys liked it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell thingy. Tell me how good you think.
Yeah, that way you know when we put up new videos. And as always, we appreciate you watching.
Cheers.